Am I the asshole for calling someone racist when they publicly made fun of the way I prepare rice? For context, I'm from Brazil and moved to the US a few years ago for school. In Brazil we have a distinct way of preparing rice. Fry garlic and onion in oil. Add in the rice and fry for a few minutes too, before adding in the water. Frying wet rice in oil would obviously be a disaster, so we don't wash our rice. Nor do we stir it while it cooks, because that makes the rice clump together and mushy. We like our rice loose with none of the grain sticking. A week ago I was making a favorite dish from back home called feijoada, a bean and meat stew served over rice. My friend group really enjoys it, and as we're finally all vaccinated I figured I'd make it and invite them over. I have a newer friend from work, we'll call her Emily, who'd shown interest in trying this dish. I love sharing my cooking and I wanted to introduce her to the rest of my friend group, so I invited her too. Emily is of Chinese descent. This is relevant. Emily arrives as I'm making the sides, including the rice. Emily immediately begins commenting on how I'm preparing it, saying I'm cooking it incorrectly and calling it white people rice. I mostly laugh along and go with it, but do explain that this is how Brazilian people prepare rice. Even while we're all eating, she continued making small comments on my rice, saying that the texture is wrong, and that it tastes strange. I'm a little annoyed, but still going along with it. However, during the meal I check my Insta and I see she's posted a story where she's swirling a fork through her rice, and then it flips to a video of me eating. I didn't notice her filming me, with the caption, "What happens when white people try to make rice?" I confront her about it and ask her to take it down, not only because I'm shoveling food in my mouth in the video like a starved goblin, but also because it's pretty rude to publicly make fun of someone's cooking. She refuses, saying it's just a joke because white people always prepare rice incorrectly. I tell her the way I prepare rice isn't a white person thing, it's a Brazilian person thing, and calling the way an entire country prepares a staple of their cuisine incorrect is pretty racist. As you can expect, that didn't go over great with Emily. I kind of regretted saying it as soon as it left my mouth, as I don't think it's a term to be used lightly, but I was pretty upset. It escalated to an argument between all my friends present, half saying I'm in the right and Emily was being rude, half saying I'm an asshole because my calling someone of Chinese descent racist over rice preparation is basically crying, reverse racism, which by the way is not a real thing and was not at all my intention. So Reddit, please pass judgment because my friend group has been arguing about this all week and I don't know what to think. If I was the asshole I'll gladly apologize to Emily and try and make up. Edit. Wow guys, thanks so much for the responses. I did not expect my silly little rice argument to get so much traction. Thanks for all the helpful advice. Despite not replying, my anxiety is a little rough right now. I've read every single one of your comments. To answer a few common questions. 1. Can you share your feijoada recipe? Of course. The recipe I use is in Portuguese, but here's a similar one I found online, feijoada recipe. Simmer for at least 5 hours, and use what meats you can find near you. I usually look for a few different kinds of sausage. Paio and calabresa are my favorite, smoked thick-cut bacon, salted cured beef or pork, be sure to soak overnight. And any kind of ribs, the meat will slide right off the bone as it cooks. 2. Why didn't you report the Insta post and get it taken down? Emily posted to her story which only lasts 24 hours, so the post is already gone. I am upset that she posted it at all. But we don't have many mutual friends, so at least it's unlikely anyone I know will have seen it. 3. Report Emily to HR. This happened over a weekend, not during working hours. I'm going to show this post and the responses to my friends who sided with Emily to try and discuss with them why they felt the need to defend her. I'm not very good at confrontation, so I'm unsure what I'll say to Emily about all this. We've been civil to each other at work this last week and I don't want to start a bunch of drama because I really like my job. Either way I'll try and update once there's a conclusion to the rice debacle. Not the asshole. Mocking someone's cooking for Instagram likes after they prepared food for you is rude as hell. Not the asshole. She was being racist. And thank you for saying that. Reverse racism isn't a real thing. You are correct. Racism is racism. So, 1. Emily ridiculed you again and again for how you made your home-cooked meal. 2. She recorded you and put it up on social media as just a joke. 3. She whined and cried when caught. Emily has a fragile ego. She needs to calm down and grow up. Jesus FC King Christ. Not the asshole. I endorse this way of making rice. It is significant other delicious. Seriously. Toasting rice a little bit first is amazing and imparts a great texture. Not the asshole, Emily was definitely being racist. First let me say I love feijoada. Not the asshole, I would have cussed that girl out. So the Asian method is the only way to cook rice now? What about risotto? Paella? Pagol? I know I spelled it wrong. There are so many methods of cooking rice. That chick was just straight up disrespectful to you and your culture. After you mentioned multiple times you're Brazilian and that's how you do it. Then she refused to take down the video? She the asshole, not you. This makes me so mad I can't even put it in words to finish this comment. Very much not the asshole. I'm Latina and I don't wash the rice either. There is no correct way of cooking something that multiple cultures use in their cuisine. Everyone has their own way. Even if you were white, her comments are uncalled for and to ridicule you on social media is shitty on its own. Not the asshole. She is culturally and gastronomically insensitive. There are about 14,000 types of rice and preparation methods, all of which produce amazing food. You were not wrong, although racism doest feel like quite the right word. Not the asshole. She fails at gatekeeping rice cooking and she's an idiot. If she tries to take her Chinese rice game to Korea or Japan, she would get side-eye. Rice grains and preparation are different all over. I'm having a hard time believing she and the friends who support her think that Chinese people know the right way to prepare rice. Don't cook for any of these people again. Would I be the asshole for throwing every wrestling match I am forced to attend? My 15M school has recently restarted all of the sport programs after almost a year of limited activity. Before that I was part of the swim team, one of the smaller groups at our school. I love swimming and it really sucked that we couldn't go for such a long time. With the restart, the school also made a new system. Every student writes down 3 different after-school activities in order of interest, so 1 choice is your favorite, 2 your second favorite and so on. The teachers in charge of the groups then pick the students. First pick is students who already belong to the groups before lookdown. Second pick is then random and third pick is if there are still places left open in the group. Since I was part of the swim team before and put it down as my first choice I would basically be guaranteed to get in. But now the results are out and I was placed in wrestling. I never even put that on my list at all, so I went to the teacher and asked what's going on. Turns out the teacher in charge of wrestling specifically requested me for whatever reason. Turns out my dad knows the wrestling teacher quite well and asked for me to be placed on the team. I know my dad hates that I prefer swimming. He always says it's not a real sport and that I should do some sport that actually gives me muscles. He constantly tells me I'm too skinny for a guy and has made several attempts to make me go to the gym to work out. I ask the teachers if I can still switch teams but they say no. I also cannot just avoid the wrestling club because after-school activities are mandatory. So last night I had a huge fight with my dad. I called him an ass for forcing me to go to wrestling and that I will just forfeit every single match I have to attend. He threatened me, saying if I do that he will take away all my electronics and I will only be allowed to leave the house for school and nothing else. My mom says I should have the right to choose whatever sport I want, but now that I'm on the wrestling team I should still do my best. Also not to call my dad an ass. But I don't want to participate in something I have zero interest in, was forced into even. Also I was really looking forward to swimming again and meeting my teammates. And #X200B. Edit. Thanks so far for the support. Next week I will talk to more teachers, guidance teacher and also write to the principal. Guess I will also try to talk with my mom again and maybe convince her. Also will mention what some people wrote that wrestling could potentially dangerous, maybe that will convince her. Worst case I will go through with it and just put in zero effort, if no one listens to me. EDIT2. So this has gotten a lot more responses than I thought. First of all, thanks to everyone supporting me. I talked to my mom again, without my dad nearby. She still thinks I should give wrestling a try but if I really want to change she will support me. So next week I will go and talk first to my swim coach and the wrestling coach and hopefully get it resolved. Otherwise I will go further to the principal. I can post an update next week and tell you guys how things worked out. Some of you suggested I should go to the newspaper or something, but I really do not feel comfortable blowing things up like that. Slandering the school is gonna backfire like 100%. I have also gotten a lot of creative things instead of just throwing the match. I would like to show my face in public sometime so no, I will ignore most of the really weird suggestions. Thanks I guess? I also got a few question about the rule of afternoon activities being mandatory. So we have to do activities for 2 years total, but we are free to choose when we do them during high school. We can choose between a lot of club activities offered by the school, not just sports but all kind of activities, music, art, reading, writing clubs, gardening or even game design. School club activities are always free, and if you require financial assistance for like an instrument or so, I think you can also get financial aid. But I don't really know the details. Additionally, if we attend a club or regular activity outside of school, we can also get credits for that. Just need work it out with the teachers. We also don't get grades or something, it is just noted on our final report. I also do not really know what happens if you don't complete them. Complain to your principal. This backroom deal between your father and the wrestling coach doesn't sound fair to you or anyone else who trusted the voting system. Fight this placement. You deserve swim team. Not the asshole. Not the asshole. That's ridiculous, and, also, your dad doesn't think swimming gives you muscles? Not the asshole. But there are plenty of assholes in your story. Dad, coach, and mom. I forced my kids to do stuff when they were your age, but only after they themselves had asked to join an activity. We had a 1-semester rule. If you yourself want to play soccer, you don't get to come and go to practice as you wish because of Xbox or quit mid-season. Also, wrestling isn't just any sport. It is a combat sport that isn't for everyone. To force a young man to wrestle against his will is more bonkers than to force someone to swim. But don't call your dad an ass if you want him to listen to your argument. Holy shit, not the asshole, your father needs to learn something. Swimming is one hell of a fucking workout. It's an Olympic sport for a reason. Sure, you don't get super buff like a bodybuilder, but you do get muscles from that. Swimming takes a lot of energy as well, it's not an easy sport. Also, you should fight this, as it was not your choice to begin with and this was a backroom deal. You stated this was not your choice. If it's not on the paper, why are you there? The teacher asked. No, they stated one of 3 wrestling is not one of your 3 choices, so are they saying your choice doesn't matter? Or will they honor your choices? Not the asshole. Bypass your teacher and go straight to the principal. Tell them it didn't feature on your list and that it was a deal between your teacher and father. Complain the teacher and tell the principal that you will throw every match in protest because the system was corrupt. Info. What kind of school is this where the teacher just picked the students? Also, not the asshole. If you wanted to, you could compromise by telling your father you'd gladly go to the gym to be a better swimmer. But, as it stands, you're on the wrestling team this year. If you decide to forfeit, do this. Not the asshole. Your father needs to watch some Olympic swimmers. Performing competitively gives people well-muscled bodies. All you got to do is hit your opponent with an RKO out of nowhere and you'll be permanently removed from wrestling. Not the asshole. Am I the asshole for refusing to pay what the HVAC company was trying to charge? I just had an AC company out because there was no cold air blowing through any vents upstairs, but downstairs was fine, and it's 107 female outside right now. The company told me there would be an $89 fee to come out and diagnose the issue and that any repairs would be discussed after diagnosis. The guys get here, I explain what I know and they head into the attic to look at the blower unit. About 20 minutes later they come down and tell me that they've found the issue. Some wires rubbed from the unit vibrating over 7 years and shorted out, stopping the parts from allowing air to the upstairs vent. He said as soon as he touched the wires and stopped them from contacting each other that it opened up. So he put some electrical tape on them and moved them away from each other. One guy starts packing up the ladder, the other guy tells me he's going to call his boss and see what the charges are. A few minutes later he comes back in with a price sheet and tells me something along the lines of, "Unfortunately we have to charge you for the electrical wiring fee, which is $489, and the $89 diagnostic fee, for a total of $578. I told him that sounds like a fee for a full rewire of something. Not a fee for throwing some tape on 2 wires. At this point less than an hour had gone by from the time they told me they were on the way to my house to now. He said he would call his boss to see what they could do. They offered me $50 off, total of $528. I asked to talk to the other guy again to verify what this repair involved. He confirmed that he just found 2 shorted wires that had vibrated their sheathing off. He repaired it with some electrical tape. I asked them what their hourly rate for labor was. To me a fair charge for a job like this is 1 hour of labor at $100,150, and the $89 diagnostic fee. I shouldn't be getting charged more than $250. They wouldn't give me an answer. I told them to call their boss again. He talked to the boss, and he stuck with the same fee of $528. In my mind, we have a problem now. Because I am not paying over $500 for this repair. That's insane. The repair was so easy they felt it appropriate to completely fix it, before discussing this $489 charge with me. So I told them straight up. I only agreed to a diagnosis of $89, and you never discussed more than that with me. I feel a charge of 1 hour labor is also fair to add to that fee. What is your hourly labor rate? They refused to answer. I said, a labor fee for a mechanic is around $100,150, so I'm willing to pay $250 for this service. They say to me that the $528 price is final and they'll have to go inside to turn off the service if I don't pay it. I said that I understood that they had the right to turn off the service if I refused to pay. But that I also understood that I had the right to know what I was going to be charged before you did the repair. So at this point I think we should call the police non-emergency line and get them to mediate this situation, because I am not allowing you entry into my house unless the police tell me to. Then I asked if they wanted to call them, or if they wanted me to. Of course they say no, we don't need police, this is out of hand. Okay, we'll do the $250. I guess we'll just have to pay the rest out of our paychecks. I told them that they should probably call their boss and tell them what's going on, because you shouldn't have to pay for him trying to charge an absurd fee. The guy who did the repair storms off into the truck, which was probably the best thing, because I felt him getting froggy for a few seconds. The other guys tells me just forget about it, let's do the $250. I told him that I would absolutely pay that right now, but he still hasn't oked it with his boss, and that I need an invoice for $250. Not the one I have for $578. He drafts up a new invoice for $250 and emails it to me. I read it, and verified it, and then I paid him. All without him ever calling his boss again and getting the okay for these new charges. I told him that I am sincerely thankful for their work and that I'm really sorry we had go through this. So Reddit. Am I the asshole? I feel like I was being extremely fair and that these guys were trying to take advantage of me. Any HVAC guys and gals out there, is what I was being charged normal? Or was I getting swindled? Not the asshole, they didn't discuss the repair with you, they just did it. For that cost I would think the wires would be replaced, not some electrical tape added. Electrical tape replacing the insulation seems more like a bandage than a long-term solution, and the $578 sounds like the price of a real fix, not a temporary tape job. Not the asshole. It was absolutely a scam of the company, to try to perform repairs without clearing it with you. They said they'd diagnose and talk to you and didn't. Not your problem. Not the asshole. They did not discuss the repair and cost before doing the work, and that's on them. They knew if they'd quoted you that price first, you would have said no and they wouldn't have made anything but the fee. The company sounds like a scam. When my ours needed repairing, they told us their diagnostic fee as well, but we were told up front that if they did the repair, the fee is waived and we only pay the price of the repair. I don't remember the exact numbers, but say if the fee was $50 and the repair was $350, we would only pay $350. Not the asshole, we just had our AC unit's fan replaced. It was around 2-3 hours of work and that didn't even cost our landlord $500. Plus they talked to me and the landlord before they did anything. This is just crazy. HVAC guy here, definitely not the asshole. First, an electrical fee for putting tape on the wires is complete bull. Second, at best this is a band-aid fix. They shouldn't be rubbing so much that they wear the insulation off, so either the compressor or the blower has an issue that they completely ignored, or a secure point for the wires came loose. Not the asshole. I've had plumbers, electricians, and HVAC workers out to my house. I've never had work done prior to my consent being given once the problem was identified. The worker could have easily gotten you, showed you the issue, or just explained it to you, and said the fix is XYZ, here's the quote for us to do it. Not the asshole. You agreed to a diagnostic fee, they should have okayed and discussed any actual repair work with you after completing the diagnosis. I've dealt with companies like this. The fee just to show up and diagnose is mandatory. When they find out what the issue is, they must tell you what the problem is, what needs to be done and what the charge is. If they were so insistent on charging you to replace wiring, I would have told them, okay, have it. I want the wires replaced. And bring down the old ones so I know you did the job. They tried to take advantage because you had no AC on the hottest day of the year. I would have actually argued that $250 is too much. They weren't up front with you about what the fix was before they actually fixed it. Am I the asshole for trying to inform my boyfriend's mother about an LGBTQIA problem? So my 21F boyfriend's 14-year-old sister, A, recently came out as part of the LGBT community. She is currently dating her best friend, also 14, F. My boyfriend's family is very accepting, so she felt no need to hide it and was excited to share the news. They're both good kids, and her girlfriend, K, is visiting at least once a week. She's always welcome, and we try our best to make her feel as comfortable as possible around us. Last week, my boyfriend and I were talking to his mom about A, and KK hasn't come out to her parents yet. My boyfriend's mom told us that she gave K a week to tell her parents, or she would tell them herself. His mom felt like she was put into a tough situation because she doesn't feel right in hiding something this big from K's parents, whom she is friends with. I can imagine how difficult it is to be in that situation. K was hurt by this, because she was scared and didn't feel like she was ready. We know K's parents are also very accepting, so they likely wouldn't have any problem with it. But regardless, K doesn't feel ready to come out just yet. She plans on telling them eventually, but not now. I love and respect my boyfriend's mom, but I told her that forcing someone to come out could be potentially very damaging. I am a bisexual woman, and the same thing happened to me when I was their age. I was given no choice and was forced to come out, and it felt like I had zero control over my own life. I felt betrayed and disgusted, and it's something I'm still dealing with to this day. I know the damage it could bring to Kay, even if her parents are accepting. It's a shitty feeling and I honestly wouldn't wish it on anyone. I tried to politely explain where I was coming from, with the intent of showing her a different side of the situation. She is a wonderful woman with no hate for anyone in her heart, but she is not part of the community and doesn't seem to know much about it. A little later that day my boyfriend, his grandmother and I were talking about it, and she brought up that although she appreciates and understands what I am doing, I was probably in the wrong. She said I don't know what it's like to be a parent, that I likely overstepped a boundary, and maybe shouldn't have said anything and just let the mom handle it. While I can see what she means, and she's right about not knowing what it's like to be a parent, my only intention was to bring awareness of the potential effects it could have. I absolutely was not trying to bash her, or imply that I know how to handle a child better than she does, or even that what she was doing was inherently a terrible thing, which I do think it is a terrible thing, but I didn't mention that because I didn't want to come off like I was just pointing fingers and pointing blame at the mom. This also isn't to say that anything bad will definitely happen and that Kay will absolutely 100% have damaging effects from this, but it is a possibility and I felt like it should be known. Like I said, I know what it's like to be in her situation, and if I can help prevent that from happening, I will. So, AITA? Edit. The mom did ask for a second opinion on what to do in this situation, so I shared my thoughts thinking it would help. Edit again. They are technically dating, but they've both expressed that they don't really want to do anything with each other just yet. Again, the environment that our family has is a very open and accepting one, so it feels very comfortable talking openly and honestly with her mother, grandmother, pretty much everyone about what her and Kay do when they're alone. The mother is a very good mom, and there's a strong sense of trust between her and her children, but I feel like she's just lacking the knowledge of the weight of her actions. In my opinion, that should only further discourage the mom from saying anything to Kay's parents, because if she is outed, I probably won't feel comfortable talking about things with her mom anymore and that trust might be broken. Not the asshole, it's no one's business but the person to come out. Parents don't get to overrule the child's decision. They trusted them to come out and they're throwing away that trust. Not the asshole. I think you did the right thing sharing your perspective. You don't know what it's like to be a parent, but you do know what it's like to be outed and that's very relevant. As a member of the LGBTQ+ with a kid also in the LGBTQ+, not the asshole. You are 100% right. Coming out is not about the parents, it is about the child being emotionally okay about being able to open up and share something that oftentimes can ruin their lives with their family. That poor child should not be forced out until they are ready. Not the asshole. Coming out to family is a very important moment in any LGBTQ+ person's life and nobody deserves to be robbed of that experience for any reason. Even if Kay's parents are accepting, that doesn't mean she's ready to come out, and that's 100% valid. I was outed to my family by another family member I trusted. I wasn't ready to come out to everyone yet and it was scary. Thankfully most people were accepting, but that doesn't make it any less damaging. I hope your BF's mother sees some of these comments and realized how damaging outing someone can be. Please try to comfort Kay in any way you can. Not the asshole. Outing anyone is an asshole move. If Kay is not in danger, then it's no one else's business. Not the asshole. It's not the mother's place to decide this for someone else's child. It's disrespectful and a violation of her right to privacy. Being in the closet isn't harming anyone. It's selfish for her to take away someone else's choice. Not the asshole. Your mill has zero right to put a child against her will. Also, I'm sorry, but you have no idea whether Kay's parents are accepting. Plenty of people seem to be accepting until it's their kid. Not the asshole. She's pressuring someone to come out and threatening to out her. Call it for like it is. And that's unacceptable.